As paid search experts, we don't trust Google. Like, let's get that straight. Like, we don't trust them to match our keywords. We do not trust their automation. We complain constantly about the ad copy. We're just complainers and we have a natural distrust for Google. But here's the thing, I actually really trust YouTube. And if you cannot tell by this video and the videos that I've been making over on my Google Ads channel and here, I am really, really leaning into YouTube now. I started leaning into it last year, and this year I've taken it up at least 5 to 10 notches, publishing almost every single day on this platform. And today I'm going to talk about it. Now, I don't want to sell you on YouTube if you're not ready for YouTube. I totally get it. I think it is a big, big beast. But I want to talk about from the perspective of a paid search manager, what I've been seeing in content creation and why I, drug my feet reluctantly and got over to this place and what I'm seeing in the back end of my analytics. Because guess what? We're PPCers. We love analytics and data. And I'm going to get into some of the data that I am seeing to show you why I deeply trust YouTube. And let's talk about it. So first of all, I want to talk about why I actually came to YouTube in an open fashion, right? And it was not because I was comfy on camera. I mean, I find myself to be super awkward. I stumble over my words. It is just the reality of who I am as a person. I own it. I absolutely, truly loved LinkedIn. And to a certain extent, I still love it. In fact, I think I found a new love for it. But I loved it because it wasn't a long blog post, but it wasn't as short as a tweet. And I've said it before. I'm not like super funny that I can make these punchy comments and survive. And that short form and that long form requires mass amounts of like in-depth thinking, and I wasn't quite there. And so this like mid-range LinkedIn became my space. And I feel like I was one of the first PPCers that like was really constantly on LinkedIn. I mean, I guess that's something that I claim for myself, but whatever. If it's not reality, I felt like I was pretty fresh on LinkedIn. So long story short, as I've started writing more and more, one of the things that I found that I do for my own posts in general is I will open up a Google Doc and I will dictate into the document all my thoughts on a topic, right? So if I'm writing about like why your CPCs are so expensive, what to do about it, I open up a Google Doc on my phone, I put in like that microphone button, and I will just walk around the block or do something around the house and just start talking about it. And then I take that entire chain of garbledy-gook, because that's really what it is. And a lot of times Google calls me like a pizza something, not even a PPCer. I mean, it is a lot of garbledy-gook. And I put it into like a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Jasper or the AI tool that I want to use. And I say, hey, go ahead and make sense of this or structure it back into an outline. And so it then comes back to me with an outline. And based on that outline, I then now have the structure of a blog post, and I can plug in sort of what I said and the anecdotes that I told in this like complete mind dump of data. Such a wonderful process. But then I learned, oh my gosh, I can do that on YouTube too, right? Like I could just give myself a structured outline. I can follow the outline, and then I can talk from the heart into the camera, and then I can come back and use the output of that and go ahead and turn that back into like a blog post or a LinkedIn post or a carousel or any of the numerous different places where I want to build content in the forms that I want them to build. So that is why I came to YouTube. It wasn't necessarily because I craved the views or because I like getting on camera with no makeup on in my sweatsuit and my fuzzy socks, which, yeah, that's where we're at. But I also did another video about lowering the friction that I will post shortly if I have the courage, because it's a little disjointed. But in any case, that's why I came here. And, over time, as I started making these videos and telling myself, like, Sarah, do not look at the views. They're like 10 to 20 people, if that, watching, but you're doing it so you can splice apart the data. I started to realize, man, this is weird. Google is finding me, my audience, Google, YouTube specifically, is finding my audience. And I started to lean into it more. And where I first started leaning into it is if I go in, and I'm going to do this kind of as we speak. So if you see me glancing, I'm glancing at my analytics platform. So what I started noticing is Google feeds you back, just like PMAX, ideas. And I mean, that's like, I know we poo-poo on Google all the time, but I'm optimistic here. So let's talk about it. So, this current channel that I'm posting on about content, let's take this as an example because this is the absolute perfect example of a channel where I had no idea who I wanted to talk to. It's been anything and everything. So, a little backstory here. The YouTube channel that I am talking on today, which used to be, I called it The Sarah Stamen, has covered the evolution of who I was. So I started making content on this channel, and all these videos are either privated or unlisted or whatever, like down that you guys will never see the light of. I started on this channel, I think 5 or 6 years ago, and I was making like motherhood content. I talked about the fact that I learned how to schedule my laundry and like put a delay timer on it and then do my laundry at a certain time. I talked about stuff that I was going through at that time in my life. I also talked about cleaning. I made no talking cleaning videos. I also vlogged a lot about our experience moving, then got into a phase of doing like a I don't know what you would call it. I think they call it like a commentary channel on like YouTube gossip because I've always followed various vlogging squads. It was really just a disjointed channel that was like my own passion project. And so then when I went out on my own, I thought, you know what? I really want to document my freelance process. Like, I want to talk to other freelancers. I felt alone in the journey. And so I started making freelance content. But I kind of felt weird because, like, I was making content again, similar to the other content about like what I was interested in at the time. And so I ended up doing like a mix of like Google Ads tutorials and then some freelance content and yeah, it was, well, you get my point. It was all over the freaking place, not the thing to do. And so recently, and I now have 5 or 6 videos at this point where I've really, really dug in to what I think is going to be the topic from this point forward, which is really talking about content creation for Google Ads specialists specifically, because I do think there's so much of a gap in how we create content to feed our Google Ads business. I think it is a space that's been dominated by men historically, right? I think there are very few females in this space. And I think that the skill of creating content is really what's going to get us going in today's world. And I aim to help people with that because I do feel like I've been wildly successful with my content. And so it's something that's marries 2 passions of mine, right, which are Google Ads and content creation, and brings that to anyone who wants to see where this industry can take them. And as a result of these videos, I've been watching my Google Analytics because it's just not as crystal clear as my Google Ads channel, which is, and I mean, they delivered me and my audience really fast. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tell you how I know that Google has quickly found my audience. So there's 2 spaces in the Google Analytics dashboard. And so why do I keep saying Google? I'm sorry. In my YouTube Studio Analytics. So you go into YouTube Studio Analytics, and then if you go into trends, which I think is really interesting, it'll tell you get ideas for your next video. And this is where I could really, really tell that Google is struggling to find my audience. And I think to a certain extent, it still kind of is a little bit, but it's starting to look better. So like the one thing that it tells me people are looking for is how to get a job in sales and marketing, how to run search ads on Google. That goes back to my old content. It talks about like real estate digital marketing agency. And again, that goes back to my old content because I made a couple pieces on like very specific how to get leads for, I don't even remember, type of business, best topics for content creation. Okay, Google is starting to know what I'm talking about. Social media marketing, again, Google is starting to tell me, we kind of know who your audience is. How to become a content strategist, again, okay, Google, you are figuring out on YouTube who Sarah is talking to. And so what I then do is I go in and I heart a lot of these content things. And I'm like, okay, I could talk about that. I could talk about how to get a job in sales and marketing and my personal journey to do that. I could talk about social media marketing strategy specific to Google Ads practitioners who I'm talking to. I could talk about the best topics for content creation for Google Ads specialists. I could talk about a lot of these things. And so you just start to realize that Google is working, just like you're working to find your audience. Google is working to find their audience. And I keep saying Google like 100 freaking times because I'm used to talking about Google in terms of Google. What I really mean is YouTube. So sorry about that, but guess what? good news for you. I'm not AI content, so I'm going to misspeak all the time. And so then, I've looked at trends. There's another great place, and it's called Go to Inspiration. And this is literally where Google, and you guys, I'm telling you, on my other channel, I did this, and it was one of the most popular videos. So Google literally gives you ideas based, and it says like in here, inspired by your channel. Again, think about like they do this in PMAX too, you guys. They do this, and it'll say like how to master digital nomad productivity. And I'm like, kind of. I mean, I don't necessarily think I'm a nomad, but I could be. It's starting to get into the head of my searcher. Your offer is great, but your audience is wrong. Okay, again, these are great ideas. Beyond the niche, expanding freelance horizons, that's perfect. I mean, look at what I'm doing on this channel. I am expanding beyond just Google Ads into the content creation plus Google Ads, and talking slightly beyond my niche, right? My niche is Google Ads. That is what I'm known for. But I'm moving and edging in the category of content creation to, frankly, further my reach in the community and my business offerings into something, I'm passionate about, which I've talked to. I love this one, PPC rolled beyond Google Ads in 2025. Because again, I think a lot of people coming into the space wonder, like, what do I do with Google Ads? Like, yes, you can manage accounts. You could be, any number of things. You could be, what I talk about all the time is how I've moved into Google Ads coaching and stopped managing accounts and how to do that. So long story short, I think I've kind of beat a dead horse with this one, but I'm telling you, YouTube/Google, I've called it Google the whole video, knows your audience and will find it for you. And we've come and been raised in this massive situation of distrust, but I do think we can learn a lot from YouTube and apply that as better PPCers. Okay, hold on. Julie's texting me. Anyway, all right. So beyond the data, I will add one other thing is that right after I launched my Google Ads only channel, where I do talk about CPCs and broad match and stuff like that, I had a client reach out to me within the first week saying, oh my gosh, I might be your first subscriber. Let's set up a discovery call. Interesting. Now, that channel started off as just Google Ads and has stayed Google Ads. I have stayed focused. And Google found my audience right away. There's more than just analytics proof. There's actual client proof, which we all like conversion proof, right? Set up a discovery call that's a great conversion. And I would say right now, I trust it a lot more than LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn right now, because it is more of a social platform, my content isn't necessarily always going out to customers and potential clients. It's going out to other paid search practitioners a lot of times. And I've explained in other videos that that's okay, right? Because I've gotten business from other paid searchers, from agencies. I consult to agencies all the time. I also have gotten referrals from agencies. So not a bad thing. It's being social. It's staying top of mind. It's being that resource and that getting those industry opportunities, which are crucial. But again, it's not reaching my clients as much as I would like it to be. Even though I still get leads from there, I don't feel like it's as perfect as it used to be even a year or so ago. And so really, what is the big takeaway of this video? I would say, as paid search professionals, we trust Google and their signals on YouTube as creators. But when we're running search campaigns, we don't necessarily trust them. And that paradox is for real. I think that going forward, if we can try a little bit to lean into the belief that Google knows the user better than we do, it may serve us better as PPCers navigating all of this AI. I don't think we as specialists and experts have to give up control, but I think we need to realize and give credit where credit is due, and that Google can be incredibly powerful at finding the right users for your business, for your content. And I think as content creators for paid search, it changes how we can create content in this world. I think we can stop obsessing over niche targeting. I think, frankly, we can stop trying to hack the algorithm, because I just proved I've been not perfect and Google's still finding me the right people. And I think as a content creator, we can start letting go more and trusting Google to find the right people for us, our people. And this is exactly what we want in our paid search campaigns as well, in our day-to-day work. So if you're a paid search practitioner and you're wondering, is YouTube worth it? I'm going to tell you, for me, it's been beyond worth it. It started as a workflow thing and became a place where I'm finding my people. And I'm finding my people at a whole different level that I would not have been exposed to on LinkedIn. And again, this wasn't meant to sell you on it, but it's to tell you that we need to evolve and know when to trust. So I hope you like this video today. I have been making a strong effort in my content to use so little AI in scripting, in talking, in anything possible because I'm just so disgusted by what we're seeing AI do in our industry on LinkedIn and the comments in general. But I know there is value to it in some capacity. Anyway, I'm supposed to tell you to subscribe. I've talked about it before, but I am opening up this small content cohort for people that want to just lock in and create the best possible paid search content they ever can and get all those leads absolutely rolling in because content has been truly, truly the feeder joy and breath of fresh air for my business. I don't think I'd be where I am today as a paid search practitioner or have the business that I'd have today without content. So happy content creation season. I hope you lock in with me and I'd love to see you. And if you have questions about the cohort, reach out to me on LinkedIn, in the comments here, email, all over the internet. You guys know exactly where to find me. Come on, I don't have to sell you on that part. Anyway, have a nice day and I'll see you later.